brain remains largely unknown to the general public despite its profound importance for consciousness, cognition, and neurological function. Neuromelanin accumulates in specific brain regions over a lifetime, with concentrations increasing from birth through old age. Its presence in structures critical for arousal, attention, motor control, and emotional regulation suggests neuromelanin plays essential roles in the very functions that define human consciousness and behavior. Discovery and distribution of neuromelanin. Neuromelanin was first identified in the human brain in the th century, appearing as dark pigmentation in certain brain regions visible even to the naked eye during autopsy. The substantia nigra, Latin for black substance, derives its name from the dark neuromelanin pigmentation visible in this region. Similarly, the locus coeruleus, though named for its blue appearance in fresh tissue, contains substantial neuromelanin that darkens with age. Neuromelanin is not uniformly distributed throughout the brain. Instead, it concentrates in specific nuclei, primarily within the brainstem and midbrain. The major neuromelanin-containing regions include the substantia nigra pars compacta, the locus coeruleus, the dorsal motor nucleus of the vagus nerve, and to lesser extent, several other brainstem nuclei. This selective distribution is highly significant, as these regions play crucial roles in consciousness-related functions. The substantia nigra pars compacta contains dopaminergic neurons that project throughout the brain, particularly to the striatum where they regulate motor control and reward-related learning. Degeneration of these neuromelanin-containing neurons causes Parkinson's disease, highlighting their importance for normal motor function. However, the substantia nigra's connections extend beyond motor systems, with projections influencing cognitive functions, emotional processing, and motivational states. The locus coeruleus, a small nucleus in the brainstem, serves as the brain's primary source of norepinephrine, a neurotransmitter involved in arousal, attention, stress response, and memory formation. Despite containing only about neurons per side in humans, the locus coeruleus projects throughout the entire brain and spinal cord, influencing virtually all neural processing. The high concentration of neuromelanin in locus coeruleus neurons suggests melanin plays important roles in these widespread modulatory functions. Structural and chemical properties of neuromelanin. Neuromelanin differs structurally and chemically from peripheral melanins found in skin and hair. While peripheral melanins consist primarily of melanin polymers, neuromelanin incorporates additional components including proteins, lipids, and peptides, forming complex organelles within neurons. These neuromelanin granules can occupy substantial portions of neuronal cell bodies, sometimes comprising up to % of the cell's volume in heavily pigmented neurons. The core of neuromelanin granules consists of melanin polymers similar to eumelanin and pheomelanin, but with unique structural features. Neuromelanin synthesis begins with the oxidation of dopamine and other catecholamines rather than tyrosine, the precursor for peripheral melanins. This synthesis pathway means neuromelanin production is directly linked to catecholamine neurotransmitter metabolism, creating an intimate connection between neuromelanin and the brain's dopaminergic and noradrenergic systems.
That's 70s too. Look.
The protein and lipid components of neuromelanin include various molecules that may contribute to melanin's functions. Some proteins appear to be involved in metal binding, as neuromelanin has copper, zinc, and other metals. This metal binding capacity has traditionally been interpreted as a protective mechanism, sequestering potentially toxic metals away from sensitive cellular components. However, metals also influence melanin's electronic properties, potentially modulating its semiconductor behavior and electromagnetic absorption characteristics. Lipid components in neuromelanin granules include various phospholipids and cholesterol, forming membrane-like structures within the granules. These lipid layers may serve multiple functions, including regulating access of molecules to the melanin core, influencing the granule's optical properties, and potentially contributing to quantum coherence by providing an insulating environment that protects quantum states from decoherence. Neuromelanin accumulation across the lifespan. One of neuromelanin's most distinctive features is its progressive accumulation throughout life. Neuromelanin is virtually absent at birth, begins accumulating during early childhood, and continues increasing in concentration through old age. This lifelong accumulation pattern is unique among brain substances and suggests neuromelanin serves functions that develop and intensify over a lifetime. The rate of neuromelanin accumulation varies among individuals and may be influenced by genetic factors, environmental exposures, and lifestyle factors. Some research suggests that neuromelanin accumulation rates correlate with cognitive abilities and personality traits, though these relationships are complex and not fully understood. The progressive increase in neuromelanin concentration may reflect the brain's increasing capacity for certain types of information processing, potentially including consciousness-related functions. Interestingly, neuromelanin concentration shows significant variation across human populations, with individuals of African descent typically showing higher neuromelanin levels compared to individuals of European or Asian descent. This population variation parallels peripheral melanin differences but appears to be independently regulated, as skin pigmentation does not directly predict neuromelanin levels. The functional significance of these population differences remains a topic of active research and considerable controversy. Neuromelanin and cognitive function. Recent neuroimaging advances have enabled non-invasive visualization of neuromelanin in living humans using specialized MRI techniques called neuromelanin-sensitive MRI. These imaging studies have revealed correlations between neuromelanin concentration and various cognitive and behavioral measures. Higher neuromelanin levels in the substantia nigra have been associated with better motor learning, enhanced reward sensitivity, and more efficient dopaminergic function. Similarly, locus coeruleus neuromelanin correlates with attentional capabilities, stress resilience, and memory performance. A study published in Frontiers in Dementia examined neuromelanin-sensitive MRI in patients with Parkinson's disease and found that neuromelanin levels in both the substantia nigra and locus coeruleus correlated with cognitive and motor functions. Patients with higher neuromelanin levels showed better preservation of cognitive abilities and less severe motor symptoms, suggesting neuromelanin may serve protective or compensatory functions in neurodegenerative conditions. Beyond clinical populations, research in healthy individuals has found that neuromelanin levels correlate with various cognitive abilities. Studies have reported associations between locus coeruleus neuromelanin and working memory capacity, attention span, and cognitive flexibility. These findings suggest neuromelanin plays active roles in cognitive function rather than serving merely as an inert byproduct of catecholamine metabolism. Neuromelanin's proposed functions. Scientists have proposed multiple functions for neuromelanin, with traditional views emphasizing protective roles and newer perspectives recognizing potential active functions in neural information processing. The protective functions include sequestering toxic metals, neutralizing free radicals through antioxidant activity, and preventing oxidative damage to neurons. These protective functions are well supported by evidence and likely contribute to the longevity of neuromelanin-containing neurons, which must function throughout an entire human lifespan. However, protective functions alone do not fully explain neuromelanin selective accumulation in specific brain regions critical for consciousness and behavior. Emerging perspectives propose that neuromelanin serves active roles in neural function, potentially including modulation of neurotransmitter release, regulation of neuronal excitability, and enhancement of electromagnetic signal processing. One particularly intriguing hypothesis suggests neuromelanin functions as a biological battery or capacitor, storing electrical charge and releasing it in response to specific signals. Melanin's semiconductor properties and its ability to conduct electrons along polymer chains support this possibility. Neurons containing high concentrations of neuromelanin might possess enhanced capabilities for rapid electrical signaling or sustained electrical activity. Another emerging perspective proposes that neuromelanin serves as a quantum information processor, utilizing quantum coherence to perform computations that exceed classical limits. The unique environment within neuromelanin granules, with melanin polymers surrounded by proteins and lipids, may provide conditions conducive to maintaining quantum coherence. If neuromelanin does indeed support quantum
70.
information processing,
That's
it could enable
Break it down
cognitive
to 60.
capabilities that appear impossible
Get my
according to
50
classical
pills,
neuroscience, potentially including intuition, remote perception, and non-local information access. Neuromelanin in consciousness. The concentration of neuromelanin in brain regions essential for consciousness suggests it plays important roles in conscious experience. The substantia nigra and locus coeruleus, the two regions with highest neuromelanin concentrations, both project widely throughout the brain and modulate the activity of cortical and subcortical structures involved in perception, cognition, and awareness. The locus coeruleus, in particular, has been implicated in regulating states of consciousness. Its noradrenergic projections influence arousal levels, determining whether an individual is asleep, drowsy, alert, or hypervigilant. The locus coeruleus also responds to novel or significant stimuli, directing attention toward important environmental events. Some researchers have proposed that the locus coeruleus functions as a consciousness switch, with its activity level determining the quality and intensity of conscious experience.
And we can control global warming based on our consciousness.
If neuromelanin enhances the locus coeruleus's electromagnetic sensing capabilities, it could enable detection of subtle environmental signals that influence consciousness states. For example, changes in the Earth's magnetic field, solar activity, or atmospheric electromagnetic conditions might be detected through neuromelanin-mediated sensing, influencing arousal, mood, and cognitive function. This could provide a mechanism for understanding how environmental electromagnetic factors affect consciousness and behavior.
This last second to be 60.
Similarly, neuromelanin in the substantia nigra may influence consciousness through its effects on dopaminergic systems.
Remember that.
Dopamine plays crucial roles in motivation, reward processing, and the subjective experience of pleasure and desire. Enhanced dopaminergic function mediated by neuromelanin could intensify these aspects of conscious experience, potentially explaining individual differences in motivation, creativity, and the capacity for flow states. Neuromelanin in the context of the gateway process. The gateway process aims to achieve hemispheric synchronization and altered consciousness states through specific sound frequencies and mental techniques. Neuromelanin's presence in brain structures that regulate arousal, attention, and consciousness suggests it may play crucial roles in mediating gateway effects. The locus coeruleus, with its high neuromelanin concentration and its function as a consciousness regulator, may be particularly important for achieving the altered states described in gateway documentation. Sound frequencies used in gateway techniques can influence brain activity through multiple pathways. Direct auditory stimulation activates auditory processing centers, which then influence arousal systems, including the locus coeruleus.
Absolute salute.
Additionally, sound waves can generate mechanical vibrations in brain tissue, which neuromelanin can transduce into electrical